Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today's video is all about the books that I read in April 2022. I'm so excited to share with you all what I read. I read a lot of really great books in the month of April. If you're interested in seeing that, please stick around. So as I said in my introduction, this video is all about the books that I read in April 2022. It was a really good reading month for me overall, and I was very hesitant there for a little while. I thought it was kind of going to be a bust month for me, but it ended up being a really great month for me. I am very excited to dive into the books that I have read. I have my tea here. I have my reading journal to reference. This is my Archer and Olive B. Harris collab reading journal that I absolutely love using. So I am excited to talk about the books that I read in April. I'm going to take a sip. And we're going to start out with a book that I'm very excited about. And that is Beautiful World, Where Are You? By Sally Rooney. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I actually think I gave Conversations with Friends 4 stars. And if I had to go back, I'd actually give that one 4.5 stars. I really, really like Conversations with Friends. This one, I think it was that there's one character, it's really focused on 4 different characters, and one of the 4 characters in the beginning, I just did not like him. I just wasn't vibing with him. I will say that as the book went on and we learned more about him, I vibed with him more, or I understood his character more. I appreciated his character more, but it takes a little bit of the book to get there. And so I think that's why maybe I didn't like this one as much as Conversations with Friends. But I did really like a lot of the main characters. I liked one of the love stories in the book. And so I really enjoyed reading this. 4 stars. I want another Sally Rooney book now. So really like this one. The next book that I read is something that I had been hearing a lot about. It's really funny because it's a classic, and so I wouldn't have maybe expected to hear about it so much in BookTube videos, but I feel like you kind of do, and that is The Picture of Dorian Gray. I had heard a bunch about this. I heard it was really, really good. I heard it had a great twist. And so I was very excited to read it. I am not much of a classics reader. I believe I talked in my March video about how I read Emma, or how I was reading Emma, and how it was taking me a while to get through. I wasn't really adjusted to that language, and I ended up really liking Emma. It took me a long, long time to read that book. It's a very long book, but I loved Emma. I really did. And so I was excited to get back into another classic and another one so soon, because I read Emma right before I read Beautiful World, Where Are You? And this, I didn't like. Or at least, like, I liked some of it. Like, I didn't dislike the writing. I disliked Dorian Gray. I thought it started out really strong, and I was really intrigued. But when you just see, I don't know, I guess it's just like, it's so disappointing to read what happened to Dorian Gray, you know, and what he did to himself, to his soul, for youth. You know, I think it's an incredible message, but it just was like such a bummer of a read. I feel like there's also one character described in this book in incredibly anti-Semitic and offensive ways, which really put me off. Like, really put me off. So that's one thing I should probably mention. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, and to be totally honest, I wish I would have given it 3. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. I feel like 3.5 is too generous, because there are a lot of books that I enjoy. There are a lot of books that I'm not upset that I read, but I didn't love, that I give 3.5 stars to, and I don't think this is on that level. Like, I think I gave The Unhoneymooners 3.5 stars, One Italian Summer 3.5 stars. I definitely like those more than I liked Dorian Gray. It certainly has a twist at the end, but I actually totally saw that twist coming. I figured that that's what was going to happen. I was like, the only way to end this would be X, Y, and Z. And that's exactly how it ended. So, yeah, I guess I was just a little let down. I had higher hopes. Next, I read my first, well, next we're going to get to my first 5-star read of the month, which I'm really excited to talk about. This is one that I had heard talked about a little bit on BookTube. I definitely seen it on Instagram, Bookstagram. That's a thing. And I'm just like, I didn't know what to expect from it. Never read anything by this author before. And I'm gonna, the last name is Ishiguro, and it's Klara and the Sun. Oh, I love this book so much. This was so good. It was just, it broke my heart. It really did. I was intrigued right from the start. I thought it was really, really interesting, the point of view that they told the story from. And I loved the character whose point of view we told the story from. It like unravels. There's a bit of intrigue and a little bit of mystery in terms of unraveling exactly what's going on with some of the other characters. The other more main character, there's something happening with her, and they don't lay it out like straightforward right in the beginning. They really just lead you along a path to eventually get there. And it was really, I wanted to know, like, I want to know what was happening. I wanted to understand what was happening, but, and I was very intrigued by the main character and about just like her point of view and her way of thinking and how she wanted to make this problem better. And then the end just kind of like breaks your heart. And it's just so good. If you haven't read this, read this. It's so, so good. I gave it 5 stars, easy 5 stars. I just loved it. I loved it so, so much. I want to read it again already. So next we have a really interesting one. So a lot of times if I see something that's going to be a film or a television show and it intrigues me and it's something I think I'm going to want to see, if I know it's a book, I'll try to read that book. I think that like Where the Crawdad Sings is coming out, and I've heard that book is really wonderful, and I definitely want to read that book before I see, I don't know if it's a film or a movie. Daisy Jones and the Six is going to be coming out. I read that book. I'm so glad I read that book before seeing, whatever that's going to be. Conversations with Friends is going to be a mini series, and I'm so glad I read that book. So I like to try to read the book prior to seeing the visual piece of art. And this is something that I had seen on Netflix that would be coming out, and it looked cute. And so I was very interested in seeing or reading the book, and that is Heartstopper. By Alice Oseman. This is a graphic novel. I've never read a graphic novel before. This was my first graphic novel, which is really exciting. I enjoyed this a lot, actually. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. When I picked it up at the store, I didn't know it was a graphic novel, and so I was like, it was unexpected that this was a graphic novel, but it's gorgeous. The storyline is really, really incredible. I love the visuals in here. It really brings the story to life in a really interesting way. And I only picked up the first one. See, this is what I do. So I only picked up the first one just in case I didn't like it, right? I don't want to purchase it and purchase like the whole series and hate the first one and then have these other ones. Yes, I could always just return them, but whatever. So I only picked up the first one and I read it and I loved it. And I immediately wanted to pick up the second one, but I didn't have it. So I had to go back to the bookstore the next day and pick it up. I picked up the second one and the third one. They had sold out of the fourth one. I'm waiting for the fourth one. I can't find it anywhere. I ended up ordering it off of Amazon, and it won't get here until like the second week of May. And I want to read it right now. I'm really sad that I can't. So I ended up giving this 4 stars. I really, really liked this. I also saw the show. I'll talk about that more in a little bit. So next book that I read is part of my Instagram challenge. So I ended up asking on Instagram for people to recommend books to me. And I created in my journal, let's see if I could find the page. Yes. I created in my reading journal this Instagram challenge, and I actually need to ask again for recommendations because some of the things, a bunch of the things that people had recommended to me were things that I had already read. And so I obviously I want things I haven't read before. So I need to ask again because I need to fill out October through December. But for April, basically when somebody recommended something to me, if I hadn't read it, I just put it in for one of the months. And so for April, Messy Blessed Budget recommended The Silent Patient, and I hadn't read it. I knew it was like a mystery kind of thriller style book. I have not read a lot of mystery thriller, but the few that I have read, or like the ones that are can kind of sort of fit into that mold, I really have enjoyed. I especially enjoyed Hostage. I think I read Hostage in March. Let's look back. I think I read Hostage in March, and I really yes, I did. I really liked Hostage. I gave it 4.5 stars. And so I was very intrigued to read another mystery thriller book, and I did purchase it in my book haul, which I posted a video of my book haul, and if you watch it, you'll know that my initial thought on this, what I thought of when I saw the title, when I read the title, was someone who can't verbalize what they're thinking but still has their full mental faculties. So like somebody who's intubated, or maybe they're intubated and they're also paralyzed, and so they can't even write what they want to say or something like that. Totally not what this book was about. About 30 pages in, I had another theory. I did share that on Instagram. I was totally wrong about that too. I had many other theories as I made my way through this book. Every single one of them was wrong. I was not expecting the ending, and it was good. Like, I was not expecting the ending at all. I was very surprised with the ending. And like, and then once you find out what it is, I was like, oh, duh. It's like being talked about, but you don't even realize it's being talked about. And I really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. It was another 5-star book for me. I'm so happy this was recommended to me. It was really, really good. I definitely want to read more mystery thriller style books. I have one I definitely want to read in May. But if you have any mystery thriller recommendations, please let me know, because I really like this and it makes me want to read more. So the next 2 books that I read were the rest of the Heartstopper series that I have. So I ended up reading volume 2 and volume 3. I went to the store, I got them. I had already started The Silent Patient, so I waited until I finished The Silent Patient, and then I read both of these. I think I did read them like one day, one the next. I didn't read both in one day. I wanted to try to extend it out for myself a little bit. The second one is my favorite one so far. And I honestly have to say, I think the reason why, this is kind of a spoiler. I think people kind of know what the Heartstopper series is about. If you don't and you're interested, cut forward like 10 seconds, because I'm obsessed with this right here. This right here. How stunning is that piece of art? I mean, that is such a gorgeous drawing. I love it. And I just love the development of the relationship in this story, of just learning more about each other and becoming more comfortable with each other. And, Nick's kind of process of coming to terms with or exploring more about his sexuality. I just really, really love this one, and I gave it 4.5 stars. And then I ended up giving the third volume 4 stars. Really love this one as well. This one was a little longer. I loved that they had their class trip to Paris. It definitely, you know, got to expose them to being a little bit more playful with each other, but also like realizing or figuring out that they were comfortable with sharing, you know, their relationship with others. And so I really like this one as well. Again, I'm desperate to read volume 4. I cannot wait to get my hands on it, and I'm counting down the days until my order comes. Next we have a Colleen Hoover book. I picked up Ugly Love, and I love this. I loved this so much. It was heartbreaking. It was really, really heartbreaking, and but it was just wonderful too. You know, I have learned that I like books that are told in 2 different timelines, and this is told in 2 different timelines. It's also told from 2 different characters' perspectives, which I like as well. I think that's a really interesting way to learn more about a character, to get more of their background and their story, and kind of see why in the current timeline they're behaving the way they are, or they're making the decisions that they are. And that's exactly what this book does. And so I really liked that. And the whole time I was like, well, what's gonna happen? Like, what happens in the past timeline to make what's happening in the current timeline? And it is heartbreaking. It is absolutely heartbreaking what actually happens. But I did really like the main characters. I liked the main female character. She's a nurse. I'm a nurse. She's in grad school. I remember grad school. She's becoming a CRNA though. I went to grad school to become a nurse practitioner. So I know her struggle, you know, and I worked full time when I was in grad school, and it was rough, and she's working part time, and it's rough. Most people don't work part time when they're in CRNA school, even, because it's just so difficult. So it was really nice to have like that similarity with the character. But I just really, this was really, really wonderful. I definitely want to read more Colleen Hoover after reading this. 5 stars. Did I say 5 stars? I gave it 5 stars. I liked it that much. I gave it 5 stars. Next, we have a book I'm really excited about, and it's I Owe You One. And so I picked it up, and I was desperate to read it. So I included it in my most recent Instagram poll. That's something that I do a lot when I want to I usually will pull 4 books that I'm wanting to read soon, and I'll put a poll up, and I'll read them in the order that people vote on them in the poll. And this one got the most votes. So, oh no, wait, did it? No, Ugly Love got the most votes. And then this got the second. Is that true? That's a lie. Never mind. I was reading Ugly Love. I posted. This one got the most votes. And so I started reading it, and it totally sucked me in right away. And I ended up reading it. I honestly could have finished it in one day, but I didn't. I wanted to not be completely tired the next morning from not sleeping. So but I read it very quickly. It really was good. I don't think I've yelled at a book so much in my life. Like I had to like outwardly verbalize feelings that I had about some of the characters. There's more than one character in this book that is very unlikable. And one in particular who's like super, super unlikable. And I just kept yelling out loud, like, he's awful. He's terrible. Why? And like mildly getting frustrated with the main character, because of their blindness to this person and to several people in the books. And so that was really funny. I genuinely have never yelled so much out loud while reading a book. And then even at one point, there's one point in the book where I actually got really upset with the main character. I think I understand her flaw, right? It's everywhere in this book. It's talked about in like the first few pages. It's her name. Her flaw is very apparent throughout the story, but she really takes it too far at one point. And I got really bummed out and like upset with her. She of course redeems herself, but I still think she made like one decision that was really just so inappropriate for somebody to make. And I was like, gosh, I'm liking this book so much. And then that happened. I was like, oh, I'm like, that really just put a damper. But again, the book does absolutely pick up. I ended up enjoying the ending a lot, and I really liked it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It definitely made me want to read more Sophie Kinsella again. I actually have a few Sophie Kinsella books that I haven't read. I have 20s Girl, which I've tried to read several times. Not recently, but way back when. And I would always get 1 or 2 chapters in and then not read it anymore. Like it didn't grab me. And it's so funny because my sister also read several Sophie Kinsella books back then, and she loves 20s Girl. She says that's her favorite Sophie Kinsella book. So it's really funny that I've like tried to start it so many times and it just hasn't intrigued me. So I'm really interested to try it again. I also have a couple others from Sophie Kinsella. A couple others, because there's a couple Shopaholics I haven't read. There's another I haven't read, and then I have a bunch of Madeline Wickham books. So she'll definitely be popping up again because I really liked this. The last book that I'm going to share, and I'm going to try to talk about quickly because this video is super long, is Station 11. So I did purchase this in my most recent book haul. It was in that same poll as I Owe You when I had the second most votes. So I just started it. I am a few pages into it. I'm currently filming this video on the 26th of April. So I think this is going to be the last book that I read this month, which is why I took advantage of the time that I have right now to film this. And it's actually like horribly like gray out, and there's like no sun. And so if this video is incredibly dark, I'm sorry, but it's like the only chance I felt like I was going to have to film this. And again, I don't know for sure that this is going to be the last book that I read this month, but I feel like it might be. So I'm very intrigued to see where this book goes. I don't have a rating for this one yet. So I'll certainly try to share in the future what my rating ends up being. And that's it. Those are the books that I read in April 2022. Overall, it was a very, very good reading month for me, I think. I read a lot of books that I really, really liked. The only one that I was disappointed by was The Picture of Dorian Gray. Other than that, everything got at least a 4-star, which is really awesome. I had 3 5-star reads. So Klara and the Sun, The Silent Patient, Ugly Love, and out of those 3, I would say Klara and the Sun is my favorite. I absolutely loved Klara and the Sun. It actually made me realize when I was like going through that I want to include a page in my reading journal where I have like my book bracket or whatever, or like my best book of the year bracket. I don't have a spread like that in here, and I want to make one. That way I can kind of whittle it down to my favorite book of 2022. Soon, I don't know exactly when, but soon I will be posting kind of a companion video to this, which is going to be what I want to read, my TBR for May 2022. So be on the lookout for that. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.